The 6 years that Brian Billick was the offensive coordinator for the Vikings. That's why he got that head coaching gig and won a Super Bowl along the way. And he is joining us now. So as an offensive coordinator, if you had Brock Purdy, 4 years college, 4-year starter, Brian, highly functional. He completed 68% of his throws at Iowa State. You've watched him at practice. He has a very, very good repetitive throwing motion. And you could go out in the market and get a Baker Mayfield. Or as a coordinator, would you be concerned if you did bring in somebody like Baker, you're taking first-team snaps from Purdy? I mean, how would you feel about that situation today?
Yeah, they obviously they're comfortable with Purdy, and particularly with the formula they have. You know, even with Garoppolo, they're a team that wants to keep the quarterback on a 25-30 pitch count, run the ball better than 30 times, play good defense, and obviously that was the formula for them last week. Then they're obviously comfortable with all the things you just laid out with him doing that. I'd be very careful about bringing somebody in from the outside. I don't know that Baker Mayfield or anybody that's available is going to produce any more efficiently than that. Now, the question becomes, all right, well, what happens if you get into a track meet and this has to be a 40-45 throw game? Well, then now you've changed the price of poker a little bit. But this guy, they're obviously comfortable with him. And, I know he was Mr. Irrelevant, but it's kind of like the old joke, what do they call the guy that finished last in med school? Doctor. Well, what do you call a guy that's Mr. Irrelevant? Drafted. So obviously this guy's got enough of a resume and they're comfortable with it. And he sure looked good the other night.
Another quarterback situation that's fascinating to me. So Geno Smith is second in the league in passer rating. And because of the Russell Wilson deal they engineered, Brian, they have 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, and 2 fourths. That is, you may get one of those as a coach once in a 20-year career. So they could certainly spend on a draft pick. But I look at them and I think to myself, or do I roll it with Geno and just build a super roster? Because they nailed their first 6 picks last year. They're all really good players. What do you do if you're Seattle? Do you buy into the Geno thing? Is it a little bit of a mirage? How do you feel about that?
Well, no, I think they've got enough of a body of work to feel comfortable with him. And no one knows better than they do, particularly in the system and surrounded. Again, it's a little innocuous to say, well, you surround a guy with a good defense and the right tools outside. Well, there's a lot of guys you could do that with and be functional, but Geno has been outstanding. I mean, at the end of the day, he was 28 of 39 for almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. He kind of stays away from the mistakes. And in the way Pete Carroll wants to play, now you add all that other talent to continue to build back the defense, maybe give him some more receivers outside, build up your offensive line. Yeah, I got to think that they're very comfortable unless they just fall in love with someone in the draft. And, Pete Carroll's no spring chicken. I don't know if he wants to go on a 3 or 4 year, okay, let's build up a rookie. And I got to feel like they're feeling pretty good about Geno Smith and all those picks.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. So I want to ask you, 20 years ago, if you could coach in the NFL, you probably took the job, even if you had a good college job. But it's interesting today. Financially, Michigan, Georgia, USC, Texas, financially, they can pay what NFL teams can pay. You get to live in great little college towns. The media is a little friendlier than they are in a Philly, in a New York, in a Miami, in a San Francisco. I look at Harbaugh and I think, yeah, maybe if I could have Joe Burrow as my quarterback, I would go. But, Brian, if you coach Michigan today and made $8-9 million, would you leave for the NFL?
Yeah, that has to become a personal, okay, I still got that itch to go chase that in the NFL. And that's just a personal decision. You're right. Plus, he's at a place where, and so remember, let's go back to San Francisco, where some of his frustration was what he had control of, what he didn't have. He has got total control of Michigan. You don't have to, you got a president and there are boosters and the like, but whether it's the owner, whether it's a general manager, maybe there's a president of the team, head of personnel, it's one-stop shopping. You have total and complete control, as does he has at Michigan. That is a lot to give up unless you can go someplace where you have the exact same thing. You're certainly not doing it for financial reasons, because you're right. The college jobs are paying as well as anybody. It's just a matter of, okay, if he can win a national championship maybe there's that itch to go back. You know? But you could ask the same thing. Why has Nick Saban not gone back? You know, because he didn't produce in the NFL. Is there a bit of an itch to show that I can do it there? Well, why? He's got a heck of a program. He's going to be in the national championship chase every year. He's in complete and total control. Yeah, I'm not sure why you'd leave.
Yeah. So give me the update on Lamar Jackson. I always kind of fall into in the NFL, if you win 70% of your starts, I'm going to pay for you at quarterback. That's a lot of starts to win. And I think he may not be Joe Burrow, but he looks better than Kenny Pickett, and he's better than Cleveland's situation. I would pay Lamar. He hasn't been hurt a lot despite his style. What do you think's going on there right now? He's kind of regressed this year and struggled.
Well, it's always difficult to separate a quarterback play from what's going on around him. And what's going on around him has affected a little bit of change on defense. Really don't have the dynamic receivers on the outside. But they're still a good, solid team. And totally committed to what he does and the style that he plays. But this is what he is. He's going to you're going to lead the league in rushing if he's in, because he's going to give you 50, 60, 70 yards every game if he can stay healthy. You understand that him throwing the ball, is not going to be a strength, but certainly good enough. And so, yeah, you framed it up exactly right. What are my alternatives? I mean, when I say we, the Ravens, we've been there where we didn't have the quarterback and had a run of not having the quarterback. That's not pretty. And so you've got a guy that can produce that way. Now, the injury thing, as he gets older, he missed 5 games last year. He's hurt now with the knee. That doesn't mean he's not going to stay healthy going forward, but his style of play, it's got to be in the back of your mind. So that would have to be the only thing. And I don't know that the Ravens look at it that way. Going, well, do we really want to invest one of these mega $500 million contracts on a guy that could have some injury issue? But you could say that about any quarterback. So I think they're wholly committed to getting it done. It's just a unique circumstance. I think he's betting on himself, like Joe Flacco did, and said, I'll play my way into my last year, and then let's see how much you want to pay me.
Yeah. By the way, X-Tech's company you've been with for years and years, not just shoulder pads. You guys did something with Justin Herbert this year, didn't you?
Yeah, it was the pad protectors, the rib protectors, as we've done that over the last couple of years. And yeah, this is one of the things I'm most proud of since I left coaching is my association with X-Tech pads. And we were the #1 pad in professional football, major colleges, SC Oklahoma, Auburn, and the high schools. That's the exciting thing now. The high schools, particularly major high schools, Mater Dei, Westlake, Katy, Bishop Gorman, they're now replete with X-Tech pads. Parents realize they don't have to just settle for what they've had in the past. They can get the best pad. Go to xtechpads.com and go into Instagram at xtechpads and protect the players in what is a phenomenal game. But they need to be protected with the top technology, and that's what X-Tech pads is.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs, by the way, started using them this year, and he said it feels like I'm not wearing pads. So you got yourself a real company. Brian Billick, Super Bowl champ, as always. Great seeing you, Coach.
Sounds good.
I just found out today he grew up in Palos Verdes, California. So did Jay Billis. So I know 2 people that grew up there. Jay Billis was a basketball star at Palos Verdes. When I first got to L.A., I drove by. I said, I want to see where Jay Billis went to high school. And I drove up like Peninsula High School up there. Beautiful area.
Really nice. You know who lives there now?
Who?
Your buddy Lincoln Riley.
He does live up there.
He's up in PV, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
I got a couple friends up there, played a couple poker games up there in PV.
It's
beautiful views, yeah. I'm sure our audience cares about Palos Verdes.
Well, more than they care about your tennis game.
What about my fantasy football team? 3 out of 4 made the playoffs, Calvin.
Oh, Lord. All right, J-Mac with the news.
No.